Welcome back, everybody. This is part 2 to the what seems to be my final Tether video, considering all of the happenings surrounding Bitfinex, Tether, and friends. If you haven't seen part 1, I'll put it below in the description for ease of access, so I'll give you a minute to check that out. For those of you who have seen part 1, simultaneous sip with me. This has been a lot of information, and we need a recaffeination fuel stop. Alright, we'll consider that our plug up to a Tesla charger as we blaze forward using our electric freedom. So let's go ahead and expand on this J.L. Vandervelde guy that I mentioned. There's really not much to expand on. He's so opaque. As I mentioned, as where we left off before, self-proclaimed CEO of Bitfinex. I won't bore you with the same thing. You can check it out in the last video. And now we get into the Tether audits. Basically, Tether has had a series of audits that were not really audits at all. This gentleman, Bitfinex, it's Bitfinex with an apostrophe ED, you see it here at the top of your screen. He has been the most prolific investigative journalist surrounding Tether and Bitfinex ever. Period. The guy is really on top of his stuff, has done some fantastic research, come out with all these primary sources demonstrating some of the discrepancies and shady dealings on the part of Tether / Bitfinex. So cheers to that guy, go check him out. But as you can see here, the Tether audit's not an audit at all, and even Friedman LLP, the auditing firm that was undertaking the audit for Tether, says, hey, don't rely on this report. We're just using it to basically discern what's going on. And frankly, with the opaqueness surrounding the banks that Bitfinex is using, it's very little wonder, in my opinion, why this is the case. After all, Friedman LLP doesn't want to have their good names dragged through the mud in case there's some bank hiding somewhere, etc., etc. I mean, it's jurisdictionality, right? If you have a bank in five different banks, 5 different countries, it's going to be difficult to weed through the red tape, so to say, in order to get all the relevant information, especially if the party that you're auditing wants to look the best they possibly can. Nothing to corroborate that per se, just my hypothesis and just the reality of the situation, right? I mean, just kind of putting common sense to the grindstone there. But suffice to say, things we do know for sure, forget the speculation, Tether did sever ties with its auditor, but Kai said what kind of, he kind of flipped this one, right? The auditor actually severed ties with Tether. So it was the auditor that decided to leave. That's what was really strange. Why would an auditor turn tail and say, hey, we don't want anything to do with you? Now, the most vanilla hypothesis I can come up with is perhaps that after being drug around, pulled left and right, trying to figure out what account was which, and oh, sorry, we forgot about this one, we forgot about that one, as Friedman LLP attempted to do their job the best they possibly could. Maybe they just got fed up and left. Or perhaps they found something that they really didn't feel comfortable auditing and looking at and decided to turn tail and sever the relationship in earnest. Either way, this is all speculation. Suffice to say, we do know that the relationship was severed. After that, what Tether decided to do in order to lay the growing murmurs to rest, this is kind of in the end of 2017, moving up to the beginning of 2018. That's the Friedman LLP saga. Midway through 2018, that relationship gets dissolved, and they decide that, hey, as an entity, we're going to bring in another firm to examine our financial situation. And you can see here they have the review that says the asset is fully backed, but there's a very explicit catch going on there. You can see here it's from Free, Sporkin, and Sullivan. I like the name Sporkin. Basically, they say an audit can't be obtained. And strangely enough, this is a law firm. It's not an accounting firm. So it's just really, really odd. It's essentially like having your mechanic come in to take a look at your refrigerator. It's like, yeah, those two things are related, and one does have mechanical parts, similar to how accounting does have some legal implications. But suffice to say, they're not going to have the same tools and be equipped with the same specific knowledge in order to suss out exactly where Tether stands. And frankly, it's not too surprising, again, not only given the opaque situation of the banking entities that Bitfinex and Tether deal with, but the bottom line is an audit cannot be obtained just simply because, well, it is cryptocurrency. It's an opaque kind of situation in and of itself, even without the banking issue. So that's kind of reasonable, but even still, it's not a good look for Tether. Interestingly still, the actual report is full of really weird language, such as, quote, FSS procedures performed are not for the purpose of providing assurance, end quote. Actually, really on second thought, it's not too weird per se. That was maybe a misnomer. It's more so of a covering of one's ass, right? So for instance, Friedman LLP doesn't want to be drugged through the mud in case something weird comes out with Tether. Same with FSS, assumingly they're going to put little statements like this in there. But nonetheless, as said, even if these individual points in and of themselves are justifiable and rationalizable on the part of the individuals and entities that Tether is associating with, because Tether is attempting to bury the hatchet in this way and ensure that everything is backed, safe, good to go, it's not a good look. And frankly, this report is not just odd for that reason. Here's the bombshell component. It raises more questions than answers because the individual whose the firm is named for, Judge Eugene R. Sullivan, so the firm is named for this guy, his name is on the actual firm. He is a member of the board of advisors for one of Tether's banks. Not sure if Tether is still using this bank, but suffice to say, if that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. This individual has specific financial interest in ensuring that the Tether asset is fully backed and solvent due to the fact that, well, Tether is bringing them in a lot of money. So that in and of itself is a bit of a cause for worry, taken in isolation, but again, taken in conjunction with all these converging factors. In my opinion, it definitely raises a multiplicity of red flags in terms of conflict of interest, in terms of how business is being undertaken and proceeded. Just weird stuff all around. And that kind of gets us back to where we are today. We are in a very interesting situation. People know this information, maybe not all of it, maybe just in part. Yeah, that individual, Bitfinex, he's been doing more research on this than I ever could. After all, he's been focused specifically on this story, pulling on every thread he possibly could. I'm just a passive observer by comparison. Not that being a passive observer is wrong. After all, different strokes, different folks, but my job here is to share with you guys the relevant information so you can come to your own conclusions. And like I said, guys, I don't have a crystal ball. So if you guys have any information that corroborates this, goes against this, that you find to be credible information, please share it. I've dealt with a lot of individuals throughout this saga that just simply say, oh, that's FUD. That's just FUD. Don't worry about that. And I've said before, FUD is the new heresy. Heresy is a word that actually has some applicability. If an individual falls into the small category that is a heretic, i.e. somebody who's going against the established narrative of a specific religious organization, well, yeah, that's the applicable terminological implication. FUD, if someone is actively spreading false information, fear, uncertainty, doubt, and trying to sow that, well, of course, that is what the term is used for. That is applicable. However, the term FUD seems to have been expanded, similar to the term heresy, to where anyone who says anything that goes against the narrative is a heretic. Anyone who goes against a specific narrative is just spreading FUD. It's become the new counter-argument and has become the kind of stand-in doll for an actual counter-argument with real points and information. So, I love you guys. I'm just trying to do the best I can to share with you guys relevant information. So, yeah, this Eugene Sullivan guy definitely has some conflict of interest going on. Let me know what you think in the comments. And here's where we stand now. You can see Tether's price is collapsing. This was taken yesterday down to 97 cents. Now it's all the way down to 92 cents. So suffice to say, we're headed downward. Again, no crystal ball. We may clip back up, may stabilize at $1. I don't know. What I do know, though, is this kind of thing is unsustainable. And I do know that a lot of the information surrounding the Bitfinex Tether conglomerate thing, it doesn't bode well. It's not how normal exchanges function. Even in the crypto world where things are kind of fast-paced and shoot from the hip, even by that precedent, Bitfinex and Tether have been acting really weird, even relative to that. But as I said, I don't have a crystal ball. Let me know what you think below in the comments. Everything is below in the description for you guys to come to your own conclusions. I said it in the last video, nothing will ever take the place of doing your own research, guys, and that's what I'm here for, to try and help empower you the best I possibly can with knowledge to where you can come with your own conclusions, and you can basically share that with me, and we can all grow together. So I appreciate you guys. I really do. You guys make it absolute worthwhile. I appreciate every comment. I appreciate every interaction that we have. But for now, I'm going to leave it at this. Let me know what you think below in the comments. Links below in the description. Much love, guys. My name is Paul. Signing off. We are CryptideCast. And remember, the tide is rising. Only this time it seems you have to stand on your head to see it.